Hi, Sparkles, and welcome back to Intuitive Wisdom. This is episode 226. Today's conversation is a beautiful blend of intuition, intention, and very real-world wisdom around space, energy, and how we design environments that truly work for us. My guest is Marza Kubiak, who works with spaces in a way that goes beyond furniture and square footage. She teaches property owners how to transform their spaces into profitable, short-term rentals. And she does this with a grounded, intuitive approach that I'm really excited to share with you. We explore how intention plays a powerful role in the spaces we create, how to think about who you're really welcoming in, and why attention to detail, from location and vibe to energy and flow, matters more than ever. Marza also shares what it really means to be a superhost without burning yourself out, and how to work with guests in a way that builds connection and clarity. These same principles can be used to curate your own home so it supports you. Whether you're curious about short-term rentals, work with spaces in any capacity, or simply want to be more intentional about the environments you live and work in, this episode is full of practical insight and energetic wisdom. Here we go. Welcome to Intuitive Wisdom, a space where insight meets energy and intuition leads the way. I'm K. Margaret Solorio, author, Angel Reiki Master, biotech graduate, and a guide for those seeking alignment in their home and life. Whether you're navigating change, clearing emotional clutter, or simply craving clarity, Intuitive Wisdom invites you to slow down, tune in, and rise into your authentic self. New episodes weekly. Come home to your own knowing. Okay, Sparkles, quick announcement before we get to today's episode. First, a shout out to Deb Wandler of Castlegar. Thank you for the 5-star review of my Meet Your Spirit Guide course on the app Insight Timer. She wrote, "Great, brief, but thorough intro into spirit guides. Thank you." Well, thank you, Deb, and sending blessings and good vibes your way. And I also wanted to share that I have a new link in bio with a shortcut to all the things, everything that I'm doing right now. So if you find me on any social media, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, or even the Insight Timer app, you can easily get connected and find all those links. They include my free quiz. So if you haven't taken my free quiz yet, you can go to one of those links or go to deliciousease.com/quiz. The quiz is called, "Is Your Home Supporting Your Expansion?" It only takes a few minutes and you'll get some clear insight into how your space may be shaping your energy and where you can start to shift things. Next, if your space feels heavy or stuck or just a little off, my Home Frequency Reset is a remote, intuitive, energetic refresh designed to bring your home back into harmony with you. It's perfect if you're craving a fresh start or deeper alignment with your vision. And that can also be found on the website, deliciousease.com/services. And my book, Make Ease Your Vibe, is available on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle version. It's packed with practical strategies for shifting your mindset, your energy, and your relationship with time. So time management. It really is about raising your daily frequency and making ease the norm or a part of your daily vibe, right? And I've made exclusive chapter bonuses that are available once you purchase your copy. Just go to my website, deliciousease.com, click on book, enter your information, and you get access. And last but not least, we've opened up listener support for the podcast. It's really starting to grow, and we want to invite you to be part of it. In addition to leaving a 5-star rating or review to help this podcast grow, you can now donate and become an active supporter. So click on the link in the show notes below to do that. And yeah, you get a shout out and a blessing headed your way. I'm just excited to see as we continue to grow this podcast together. All right, let's get to my conversation with Marza. Hi, Marza. Thank you again so much for joining me today. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm very excited. You have, for me, a unique skill set, and I work with my clients in the energy of their homes, and you work so much with spaces. I'm excited to get into this conversation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Me too.
Well, you may know on this podcast, we like to explore what it means to live in alignment with your energy. So how trusting your intuitive wisdom can transform your inner and your outer world. I was curious for you if you could share a time when your intuition nudged you to do something unexpected.
Well, it's interesting because I think for many, many years, I've actually didn't listen or trust my intuition. And I think I've only explored this lately, I would say probably maybe a year or 2 years ago. And I think it's so important. It's like our third eye, isn't it? It's just protecting us from the unexpected. But we sometimes don't know that it's actually our gut feeling that telling us to do something or not to do something. So I actually will relate to an example that does relate to the property, which obviously further down the line we will go into detail. But my actual intuition was telling me to start the short-term lets. I was having my property rented on a long-term let, which in UK is known as buy-to-let, BTL. And, the time just came right. I had my training. I thought, I've got my knowledge. I've got my skills. The tenant was moving on and moving out. And I think, well, do it now. If not now, when? And despite obviously I had a lot of fear because it was a risk. And I was trying to talk myself out of it, or some people tried to do it, but I thought, no, I'm going to do it. I'm committed. I want to try. And I don't know, I had this it's hard to explain, isn't it? But sometimes you've got this little voice or something that tells you, yeah, you should try. And I thought, you know what? What's the worst can happen, right? I've got the biggest asset. I've got the property. So if worst comes, happen, I can always go back to the long-term let, right? So it's not a big deal. No one's life is on the line or anything like that. So I think, yeah, let's just get on with it. And I'm glad I did. And at the time, a couple of my close family members, they were like, oh, but it's risky. Well, someone offers you this money. It's more secure. Maybe you should take it. And I thought, yeah, but if I'm not going to start, I'm just going to ask, what if I have started? What about this? And I thought, that's the great opportunity. Tenant is moving out. Let's do it. And I listened to it, and I'm glad I did, because I'm here with you.
Yay. Yeah. Well, let's keep going. Tell us more about how you help your clients and the short-term lets.
Yeah. So I ultimately deal with people who either already got a property or looking to buy a property. So the first set of clients will be people who already got the property like I did, but they're looking to change their strategy. Perhaps they're looking for more cash flow, which obviously nowadays is very important, as long-term lets are very good long-term, but they obviously don't bring you, your financial security every month to the level you would have expected. And obviously people who would like to switch from long-term to short-term lets, I will help them to do it and tell them this is where you need to start, or these are the steps you need to take. At the same time, I've also got clients who are already running the short-term lets. So just let's be clear, for most people, we know it as Airbnb or booking.com. That's the most obviously popular name everyone would know and operate. So those people who run it, but maybe they are at the very early stages I was, and they don't know what they're doing, or they're not getting the level of reservation they expected. So I'm helping to guide them and just providing, one-to-one consultations or group trainings of actually showing them step by step that take a step back, look at this. But at the same time, I'm also trying to pass my knowledge and my proactive approaches, which I developed, which I believe we're going to talk about a bit later on. So I will don't say it yet.
Oh, you can keep going.
Yeah. So I think initially, I just thought it's just going to be easy, just going to put a property on the platform. That's it. You're going to have, number of bookings, and let's get this started. But in reality, it's not that easy anymore, because obviously there are a lot of hosts, and, as people are saying, the market is saturated. Well, it is and it isn't. But as a result, I had to do is go step forward and think outside the box and actually try to find those guests that will come and visit my property. So it's not just about putting it out there and sitting and waiting. Well, I did that, and I
feel like that's a good lesson for life.
I wanted to give up at some point. So now I'm trying to help those people that also, for example, might have some tenants which are troublesome tenants for some reason. They, destroyed the property or not paying, and we can convert them into paying guests. Not them, but we can get rid of them and then convert the property so it's available for paying guests. But in terms of this, being proactive, just really reach out to people. I've discovered amazing platform which is dedicated for people who are coming to the city and are actors and perform in theatres. There's a separate platform, and amazingly, there are so many actors looking for, they call it theatre digs. They're looking for really good quality accommodation. And I was like, oh, wow. And I've actually hosted 2 amazing actors who were performing in the musical The Ghost. It's based on the film with Patrick Swayze. And they were amazing guests. I even managed to get a discounted tickets to go and see them, which was, a fabulous, top up. So, these sort of little things I've discovered the more I was into it. This is just one example. And I thought, that's it. I need to get my word out there. I need to tell people this is the listing. I'm not just going to sit there and wait. And that's what I did. And I'm sharing all of these super tips. And also in my ebook that I've just launched, which is called Airbnb Compass. And I call it Compass because it literally takes you from nowhere to somewhere.
Yay.
So literally step by step how to get there with all the tips, and I'm sharing my stories as well, which I call like a moment with Marza, when I share what's happened when you've got double reservation, or what do you do when guests lost keys, because this is all part of the business. And when you start, you don't know how to react to those not always positive experiences, I would say.
Right. Well, congratulations on the book. That's very exciting.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I'm curious. It makes a lot of sense what you said about reaching out to alternative, like not the obvious choice in terms of guests. So people who need temporary housing that are wonderful people, but need it for a different reason than just visiting.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you recommend for the space itself to help make the space inviting or attractive?
Yeah, what I would say, obviously, for short-term lets and Airbnb, extremely important aspect about how you presented our photos. Okay, so you do have to go extra mile when you furnish your property, how you want things to look, and obviously attention to detail. Obviously, at the time when I was starting, I didn't even know there's a big business. Home staging itself is a separate industry that actually does that. But let's just go step back a little bit. So let's just say you're thinking of starting your Airbnb and you're looking for property. What I would say is extremely important is location.
Okay.
Location, and at the same time in mind, you should probably already have what type of guests you would like to attract, or what type of guests this place would be suitable for. And by location, I mean look around and check what's nearby: hotels, theaters, hospitals, airports, any bar, train station. This all is really, really helpful, because that will help you to determine, okay, well, yeah, there's definitely a footfall. There's a lot happening in the area. I'm not saying that, places that are slightly, in a quiet area, rural areas will not work. They will, but for different reasons. People will go there just to chill, relax, and just forget about the busy life. So again, what's very important when you search for the property is what clients you've got in mind, which I think a lot of hosts don't, or a lot of people who are starting, they don't even think about this. They think, I'm just going to do it, and whoever comes, that's it. But when you then furnish your property, when you put your descriptions, you just have to bear in mind who your client is, because you're not going to furnish it the same for if you do, couple retreat for the weekends, or if you're inviting family with children, right? Mm-hmm. You need different description and totally different setup and different furniture and different, stuff. So that's one of the things I always say. Location, to show it, photography is extremely important. And I always say about it, and people who work with me saying, yeah, you said that before. I said, I know, but I keep repeating it because I've made this mistake. When I had a friend who actually, his hobby is photography, and he goes with camera. I said, oh, would you take some pictures of my apartment? I said, yeah, sure. But, I thought, yeah, I will pay you. And so he took pictures, I upload them, and there's nothing happened. And other people were coming to my listing saying, you need to change those pictures. They are terrible. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh. So I then obviously hired a professional photographer. I had to pay twice more. So effectively I paid,
3 times.
Exactly, 2 times. And yeah, those photos are definitely selling and started selling. So, as they say, pay cheap, pay twice. And that's why I always say it's an investment. You don't pay, it's an investment that, you will get this investment pretty soon if you do it right. So I would say, yeah.
I think that's fascinating, because I didn't think of that either. We think about setting up our homes, or even when you think of any type of business and you get to the point where you realize it's okay not to be for everyone, and it's actually better not to be for everyone, but that also in designing a temporary home for people, understanding that being the best for some means you won't be attractive to others, but that's a good thing. And then really working towards that, setting it up with the pictures and the furniture and the style. And like you said, the description, even building a little world.
Yeah, what I would say, obviously, don't be put off that it's a lot to do because, I didn't get it all right at first. So I always say, like, yeah, if you've got the motivation, important is to start. And, you can change description anytime you want on Airbnb. It's not that you're going to put it and it's going to stay there forever. So it's a bit of a, trial and error. Or that's what I'm teaching my client during consultation, asking, okay, what's around? What's new your location? Why? The question I always ask is why people would come to whatever place, and I put the name. What's there? What's there? Why shall I come there? What do you have for me to offer? But one tip I would give people, when you set up your property, invite your friends or a close family to stay overnight, because you'll be surprised like how much they can discover. It's literally you're checking how your setup works in practice, right? Even things like, oh, I tried to put my cup there, but there was no shelf, or there was no little table, or, there was like a noise at night that woke me up, or and it's so helpful, honestly. The number of people that then come back to me and said, Marza, thanks for this advice, because we've changed a couple of things before the guest arrived. It's like, that's amazing. So, just give them a little test night of your place.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I've been doing some preparing and thinking about hosting for the holidays, and not just for small-term rentals. But I was curious what you're a superhost. If you could tell us more what superhost means and what that looks like, superhosting without stress.
Okay, so obviously Superhost is a status that Airbnb as a platform awards you. So if you obviously got a lot of 5-star reviews, there are like 5 or 6 aspects. So you can cancel your reservations. You have to have very, very good feedback. I think 4.8 or higher. And there is like a minimum number of nights or stays you have to host each guest. And then every quarter, if you reach this status, it's reviewed every quarter. And then Airbnb gives you like a little badge that is displayed next to your listing. And you've got a little thing saying Superhost, which should give you more visibility. And obviously it's more prestigious. And obviously it's something that every host aim for when they start, because obviously, you want to be there. You want to be this person that will go and book it. But now, after being in this business for a while, it's not only the badge that Airbnb gives you. I think for me, Superhost is when I'm getting amazing messages from my guests, and they say how great they felt in my property, or that they felt like they've been looked after, that, they like the little, I don't know, biscuits or whatever goodies I left for them when they arrived at 2 a.m. in the morning. But more importantly, for me, being Superhost without stress is having a constant flow of inquiries or reservation, because then at least you think, yes, that's fine. I don't have to worry about things are, moving in the right direction. But most important is having guests who will treat my home as theirs, which I always try to manifest that. And I was very stressed for the first few reservations when I had people and think, oh my God, you hear these horror stories about how people destroying your home and what they do. And the videos I've seen is, I don't want, but every single time I was working on my mindset, and I said, that's it. I'm going to have amazing guests and I'm going to leave amazing feedback. And this was always the case. And I hope it will continue. And to add to it, another super hosting without stress is obviously having guests that pay on time. Because, you may end up having, as we call it in the industry, direct booking, which will be people who just directly book with you instead of booking through the platform. Which is great, because obviously effectively you're getting more revenue. You don't have to pay any fees to the platform. But at the same time, you want to make sure these guests pay on time, as they said, or pay their invoice or other stuff, they need to pay. And sorry, it's a lot of things.
No, it's fascinating.
I would see your team, because the number of people I talk to, and obviously you need to have a good cleaning team, because obviously running Airbnb is very different to having a long-term let, when obviously you are responsible for cleaning the property after every single guest. And the number of times the poor cleaning cause failure of like reservations, bookings, and reviews, it's really high. It's still very difficult to find a good, reliable cleaning team or a cleaner that will do a great job. Or also, I think the guests are becoming more and more demanding, to the point that some are being ridiculous in terms of what they want. But, no one wants to arrive to this fabulous place and find, I don't know, hair on a pillow, and, little things like that are a bit off-putting. Even for me, I always try to think like how I would feel if I go to an apartment or a hotel and I would find this. Top cleaning team is what I really wish for all the hosts to have, because that will be, you can rely on them. You can leave them to it. obviously still have a control. So I always recommend go and do inspections if you can, because you don't want the standards to, slip out while you're not there, because that can be the case. So
that makes sense. Do you ask your guests any questions? Like, is there follow-up? Is there constantly, I mean, you talked about having regular bookings, but is that an active process still? Or
so I found my own balance in what I ask them and when I ask them, because no one wants to be stalked, right? When they come in, you want to leave them be a little bit as well. But I always ask my guests, and that's what I also teach people when they come to me for any sort of training. I always ask them, what brings you to the city? And some people are like, oh, that's a bit awkward, but why? People feel like, you're invading their privacy. And I said, well, I don't think it's an awkward question. I always say I'm asking, I follow it up, because if I can help by any means with any recommendations of the places where you can eat or places you would like to see, then I'm happy to help. So it's not like, being invasive that why you're here. I always write the message so it's obviously nice, polite, and it adds value. And, and people like that. And then they will tell me, oh, I'm here for the conference. I was like, okay, what sort of conference? They always very often, they will say what type of conference or whatever, or visiting family. And that's crucial if you don't know who your client is at the start. Because by getting those messages, you will see, wow, okay, so I'm attracting families. Because I don't know, the playground is around the corner. Or I'm like, oh, I'm attracting people who go to conference because there's a big exhibition center, 10 minutes away. Or I attract contractors. And that way, by asking this question, you can actually know, oh, who is your target group? Who are my clients? Who are my guests? So effectively, you get the answers that you need, which again are helpful for getting them back. And obviously, I sort of try to reach out to them after they check in, just to make sure everything is okay. They found the keys. And then I'm leaving guests to be, I think, like, no news is good news. That means they're having a good time. So I don't want to disturb them. And I know if something would be not going the way they want, or they've got a question, they will reach out to me and ask me, or if something is not working. And then obviously what's important, again, which some people will disagree, I always ask for 5-star reviews. I never say that. Obviously, I give them the rating, but I always say, can you please leave me 5-star review? Unless, obviously, I know there are issues. So then, obviously, I will not have, the audacity to ask them for 5-star. But if I know that everything was fine, I know the apartment was clean, perfectly clean, I thought I come with the option, if you won't ask, you won't get, okay? The worst can happen. They will say, no, I will give you 4. But the review system on Airbnb is really funny as well, because it's not like a normal hotel. If someone gives you 3-star, that means the place was really bad. And some people don't realize that. So I always try to explain rating to them as well. So they know, like, 5-star means it's good, okay? If you give less, that means there are issues. And 3 is like, there are a lot of issues. So I always try to do a follow-up about the review if I haven't had it. Because I think that's helpful. And always, obviously, invite guests for another stay, or asking, can you please recommend me to your friends or family if they would like to come in, or maybe offer them some discount for the next time. Just give them a little bit of incentive if obviously they like the place and they like the property. And it's very rewarding, like after 6 months or a year, you've got someone actually asking you to come over again and just checking, oh, you're available, I've got another 2 nights. And I felt bad because sometimes I had to say no because I was already booked. And I said, oh, I'm really sorry, but I can offer you a different apartment. They always then say, okay, that's fine, but the one I stayed last year was amazing. So, can I have this one next time? And, sometimes, if it's amazing when you've got this returning guest and, you feel like, oh, my God, I forgot this person was there, and they still kept your details and and know where to find you. So that's very rewarding for hosting.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. I'm curious how you help yourself maintain your energy. Do you have, like, time in terms of guests contacting you? Do you have times when they can do that, or does that part ever get overwhelming when they reach out?
It can get overwhelming because one of the, again, Superhost criteria on Airbnb is like how quickly you respond to messages. So most of the time, guests will, if they've got an inquiry, they will either book or send an inquiry during your day. So if I've got a few minutes, I'll just pop in and respond. But I've done automated messages as well. So you can set up your automated messages on Airbnb. So I've got the set of 7 messages from the booking until they check out. So if in the meantime I always try to do personalized messages as well. Like, oh, hi, hello, I've seen you booked. But if let's say I'm busy, at least I know the automated message went out. They're not left in a blank. They don't know what's happening. But I also noticed that too much information to start with can be overwhelming for guests. So my first message included absolutely everything: address, Wi-Fi, codes. And I've noticed people were coming a day before, they were asking me the same questions. I said, well, you've already had it. So I split it. I thought, well, yeah, they can't have too much information in the first message. I need to filter it through as we progress towards the reservation. Otherwise, it's too much. But what I do is, I often say that I'm self-motivator. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a robot. I've got bad days. This week was really testing me, especially yesterday. But I'm always trying to listen to podcasts. One of yours is an example, something that will lift me up, something that, some affirmation, something that will help me to, go through it, that yes, you can do it, you will achieve it. Because there were times that I wanted to give up on my Airbnb very early when, the apartment was perfect, calendar was empty. And one thing that I learned is don't compare yourself to others, because that's what I did at the beginning. And it was frustrating and it was destroying me.
It's hard because the applications are comparing you too, and everyone's coming. Yeah,
they do, because you look like they compare your price, and you look and it's like, oh, that looks worse than mine. They've got full calendar. You do that, but then you realize, oh yeah, but actually the reviews are pretty bad. So they're dealing with different type of guests. So I always say, okay, well, it's good to have do a research what other people are charging, but don't feel like you have to charge the same. If your property is different, charge it accordingly. So I'm very much trying to work on myself every single day and, stay self-motivated. But there are moments when it's hard. And, I had messages at 11 p.m. that the boiler is not working and other things. Or, on Sunday afternoon that someone lost keys and can I bring spares? So, that's the beauty of it as well. Especially, I would say, especially in the first 6 months when you're trying to put your processes in place. It's quite hands-on, but I think after a while, again, by having a team, you can also delegate quite a lot of things, or you can get an assistant, like a virtual assistant, that will deal with quite a lot of stuff as well. Important thing as well about location is don't have your Airbnb, if you're planning to run it on your own, 2 hours away from where you live, because if the guest will say, hi, can I have spare keys, and you don't have them near your property or anyone who lives there, you will have to end up and drive there. And again, that's going to be 2 or 3 hours or more before you get there. So I always say within like half an hour drive, etc., unless you've got team on site that can deal with unexpected, which, let's be honest, unexpected would always happen in this business sooner or later in some shape or form. So
wonderful. Well, thank you. Yeah, you are just such a wonderful wealth of information. And I feel like there's so much that you're talking about that is applicable to business in general or life. And it's very inspirational. I'm very excited to learn more about hosting short-term rentals.
Honestly, this is the sort of thing I can talk for hours. And sometimes when I do have a consultation with my clients, I'm just surprised how quickly an hour goes, because honestly, it's I'm definitely very passionate about it, and especially sharing what I learned, and because I just feel like I learned it all myself through spending evening and nights on various trainings and Facebook groups and trying to find things that will be applicable to me and my property and my listing. So I think it's good to share it now with people who need it.
Yeah, it's great. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, what I will also add is that I'm a linguist, so I speak 3 languages. So if you speak Polish, English, or Spanish, you can reach out to me and we can speak any of those languages.
Hey, that's fantastic. I know. I was looking at some of your stories on Instagram, and I think they were in Polish.
Yes, they were in Polish indeed. As this is a community I'm trying to target at the moment, because I've realized there is a lot of Polish people involved in property and running property businesses as well. So I'm based in the UK. So I thought, well, I may as well use my own language and try to build a community from,
it's
the people.
Wonderful.
I suppose I know core values, right? Because that's where I was brought up. So, but I must say, is it easier? I wouldn't say it's easier. It's with every business, there are challenges and opportunities. So, to be honest, sometimes I even felt it was a bit harder trying to communicate the same message in your own language because I have to think twice how to say it.
Yeah, if you learn some of the vocabulary in the other language, it's true. But it's interesting in that the platform is also, excuse me, so international. It allows for that.
Absolutely. And I suppose now there are so many words which, are, as I call them, Ponglish, which is a mixture of Polish and English. And as you said, those internationally recognized words that even if I will speak in another language, people will understand, which thanks God for this.
Yeah, especially the modern words, the new technology that comes up and there is no word for it. We all seem to absorb the same word.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Well, where can listeners connect with you and your work?
Sorry, say it again?
Where can listeners best connect with you and your services
So
and your properties?
On social media, obviously Instagram and Facebook, you can find me as Marza Superhost. I also got my own website, which is marzasuperhost.com, when you can see my products. But no, the website is in Polish. If you are English speaking or Spanish speaking, just drop me an email or a message on socials and I can definitely communicate in either of these two languages. I've also run my private Facebook group, which at the moment is for Polish community. But again, there are plans to obviously explore and just see what the market needs are, and then obviously work alongside that. So yes, I would say Instagram and Facebook probably would be the best, or website.
And I'll make sure I include all those notes in the show notes for this episode. And thank you so much. I really appreciate this conversation.
Oh, yeah, it was so great. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining me on Intuitive Wisdom. If this episode brought you clarity or inspiration, please take a moment to leave a 5-star review. It truly helps others find this space. And if someone you love, you could use a shift in energy, share this episode with them. You never know what might resonate. For more, explore my frequency reset service, tune into more episodes, or begin the journey through my book, all at deliciousease.com. That's DELICIOUSEASE.com. All right, until next time, trust your energy, honor your space, and keep coming home to yourself.